In the annals of American organized crime, Benjamin Bugsy Siegel stands as a legendary figure whose name is synonymous with the transformation of the Las Vegas Strip. Charismatic and strikingly handsome, Bugsy Siegel was not merely a mobster, but a trailblazing force who left an undeniable mark on the criminal underworld. Born in 1906 to a struggling Ashkenazi Jewish family that had immigrated from the Galicia region of Austria in Hungary, Bugsy's upbringing in the rough neighborhoods of New York shaped his path. He left school at a young age, becoming entangled with street gangs on the Lower East Side. His criminal career began with petty thefts, but it was his encounter with Mo Sedway that set him on a more sinister course. Together, they initiated a protection racket, terrorizing pushcart owners into paying for their safety. As Bugsy Siegel's criminal record grew, it included offences ranging from armed robbery to murder. His reputation for violence and audacity caught the attention of influential figures within both the Jewish mob and the Italian-American mafia. Alongside his close friend, Meyer Lansky, Bugsy Siegel formed the Bugs and Meyer mob, specialising in everything from gambling to car theft. They were pioneers, predating the infamous Murder Inc., in handling hits for various bootlegging gangs. Prohibition, which banned alcohol in the United States, opened new avenues for organised crime, and Bugsy Siegel seized the opportunity, becoming a bootlegger during this era. However, with the repeal of Prohibition in 1933, he transitioned to gambling, marking a significant shift in his criminal pursuits. In 1936, Bugsy left New York for California, where his role primarily shifted to that of a hitman and an enforcer, earning a fearsome reputation for his prowess with firearms and violence. He faced trial for the murder of fellow mobster Harry Greenberg, ultimately being acquitted the following year. The next chapter of Bugsy Siegel's life took him to the burgeoning desert oasis of Las Vegas, Nevada. Here he played a pivotal role in handling and financing some of the original casinos, notably assisting developer William R. Wilkerson with the troubled Flamingo Hotel project. Taking charge of the final construction stages, Bugsy envisioned a luxurious establishment offering gambling, fine dining and entertainment. The Flamingo Hotel opened its doors on December 26, 1946. But initially faced a lukewarm reception. Undeterred, Bugsy Siegel persevered, making renovations and improving the hotel's reputation. By March 1947, the Flamingo was finally a success, but time was running out for its visionary founder. On the 20th of June 1947, Bugsy Siegel's life took a shocking turn when an unknown assailant fired multiple shots at him through a window of his girlfriend's Virginia Hills, Beverly Hills home. The night was dark, and the assailant's identity remained shrouded in mystery. Bugsy was struck multiple times, including twice in the head, leaving him lifeless on the floor. The crime, a brazen and audacious hit, sent shockwaves through the criminal underworld. Bugsy Siegel, the charismatic mobster who had played a pivotal role in shaping the future of Las Vegas, lay dead, his legacy hanging in the balance. As the investigation into Bugsy's murder began, questions swirled. Who had ordered this shocking hit? Was it a power play from within the Syndicate? Or perhaps revenge from a forgotten enemy? The answer to these questions would uncover a web of deception, betrayal, and dark secrets, leaving the world to wonder about the true story behind the demise of Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, the man who forever changed the course of the Las Vegas Strip. On a bitterly cold February the 28th, 1906, in the gritty neighborhood of Williamsburg, Brooklyn, New York, Benjamin Siegel took his first breath, the second of 5 children in a destitute Ashkenazi Jewish family who had journeyed to the United States from the Galicia region of what was then Austria-Hungary. It was a modest start to a life that would become synonymous with both infamy and ambition. Born to parents Max and Jenny Siegel, a young Benjamin was steeped in the relentless struggle for survival from the moment he entered the world. His parents toiled carelessly, earning meager wages in a relentless pursuit of the American dream. that seemed forever just out of reach. As a precocious boy, Bugsy's journey through life took him on an ominous turn when he left the schoolyard behind and gravitated towards a gang that loomed like a dark spectre on the Lafayette Street, nestled within the Lower East Side of Manhattan. There, in the tumultuous streets of the earliest 20th century New York, his criminal education began. From the offset, his criminal implications found expression in thefts and delinquent acts, mirroring the harsh environments that surrounded him. Yet it was a pivotal encounter with Mo Sedway that would propel him deeper into the underworld. Together they devised a protection racket that struck fear into the hearts of pushcart owners, threatening to incinerate their precious merchandise unless dollars were handed over, an audacious scheme that laid the foundation for Bugsy's criminal career. As the years passed, Bugsy Siegel's rap sheet grew longer, stretching back to his teenage years. Armed robbery, grape, and even murder would stain his record, casting an ever-deepening shadow over his life. From the squalid streets of his youth to the glittering boulevards of Las Vegas, Benjamin Siegel's journey was one marked by crime, ambition, and the unwavering determination to rise above the circumstances of his birth. His story is a complex tapestry woven from the threads of darkness to light, a tale of a man who would come to embody the American dream in its most enigmatic form. In the tumultuous years of adolescence, Benjamin Siegel forged a friendship with Meyer Lansky that would forever change the course of their lives. Their alliance would give rise to a formidable criminal enterprise known as the Bugs and Mayer Mob, a name that would strike fear into the hearts of their adversaries and resonate in the annals of the underworld lore. Meyer Lansky, already a man with a storied past, had a vision. He saw a need for the Jewish boys of their Brooklyn neighborhood to organize just as effectively as their Italian and Irish counterparts. His first recruit into the fledgling criminal brotherhood was none other than Benjamin Siegel, whose quick wit and audacious nature made him an invaluable asset. Their early exploits centered around gambling and car theft, but it didn't take long for the duo to recognize the boundless opportunities that Prohibition had unleashed. Bootlegging and illicit trade in alcohol beckoned as a path to wealth and power. In this world, Bugsy Siegel assumed the role of the mob's hitman, a man whose deadly skills would be leased out to other crime families, solidifying their reputation as a force to be reckoned with. The Bugs and Mayer Mob quickly became a central player in the tumultuous underworld of the 1920s America, almost a decade before the infamous Murder Inc. would emerge on the scene. Their primary mission: to handle hits for various bootlegging gangs operating in the treacherous alleys of New York and New Jersey. They were, by all accounts, merciless in their pursuit of dominance, responsible for the elimination of numerous rival gangland figures. In this crucible of crime, Bugsy Siegel was surrounded by a cadre of trusted comrades, including Abner Longy Zwilliam, Louis Lepecki Buchatler, and Meyer Lansky's own brother, Jake Joseph Dot Stature, a fellow member of the Bugs and Meyer Mob, would later recall Mr. Siegel's indomitable courage, describing him as a man who never flinched in the face of danger, a man who acted decisively when others hesitated. Bugsy never hesitated when danger threatened, Mr. Stature reminisced to Yuri Dan. While we tried to figure out what the best move was, Bugsy was already shooting. When it came to action, there was no one better. I've never known a man who had more guts. Moreover, Bugsy's connections stretched far beyond his immediate circle. He shared a boyhood friendship with none other than Al Capone, the infamous gangster from Chicago. When a murder warrant threatened Mr. Capone's freedom, Mr. Siegel extended a lifeline, allowing him to take refuge with an aunt. If you'd like to know more about Al Capone, we have a documentary on our channel, so please check it out when you get time. Yet the Bugs and Meyer Mob was not confined to bootlegging and violence alone. Their empire extended into the shadowy realms of drug trade, with Mr. Siegel deeply immersed in the opium underworld from a very young age. By the tender age of 21, Benjamin Siegel had amassed considerable wealth and wasn't shy about flaunting it. He acquired opulent residences, including an apartment at the prestigious Waldorf Austria Hotel and a Tudor home in the upscale enclave of Scarsdale, New York. His wardrobe was as flashy as his reputation, and he was a fixture in the vibrant nightlife of New York City. Their ascent reached a pivotal moment in May 1929, when both Meyer Lansky and Bugsy Siegel, the Bugs and Meyer mob, at the Atlantic City Conference, held at the opulent Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Atlantic City, New Jersey. The conference hosted luminaries of organized crime, including Charles Lucky Luciano and former Chicago Southside gang leader Johnny Torrio. We have a documentary on Johnny Torrio on our channel, so please check it out if you get some time. It was a watershed moment, a gathering that discussed the future of organized crime and the structural changes within the mafia crime families. At this conference, Benjamin Siegel made a statement that resonated. The Yids and the Dagos will no longer fight each other. This was but the beginning of a journey that would take Bugsy Siegel from the dark alleys of Brooklyn to the neon-lit boulevards of Las Vegas, leaving an undeniable mark on the American criminal landscape. His story, entwined with that of Meyer Lansky, is one of ambition, audacity, and unyielding determination, a tale that will forever define the legacy of Benjamin Bugsy Siegel. In the midst of his tumultuous life in the criminal underworld, Benjamin Siegel found solace and stability in the arms of Esther Krakoa, his childhood sweetheart. On a winter's day in January the 28th, 1929, they exchanged their vows, marking the beginning of their journey of husband and wife. From this union blossomed a family that would bear witness to both the glitz and the shadows of their patriarch's life. Benjamin and Esther Siegel welcomed two daughters into their world, Millicent Siegel, who would later become Millicent Rosen, and Barbara Siegel, who would take the name Barbara Stapperstein. Their childhoods were coloured by the duality of their father's existence, a man celebrated in some circles and feared in others. Yet amidst the complexities of their family life, Bugsy Siegel's reputation as a womanizer cast a long shadow. His extramarital affairs and involvement with other women strained the bonds of his marriage, ultimately leading to its dissolution in 1946. The end of their union marked a pivotal moment in the family's history. Esther, along with their teenage daughters, made the difficult decision to relocate to New York City, distancing themselves from the turbulent life that had come to define Benjamin Siegel. It was a move that would shield them from the perils of his world, offering a chance at a different kind of life. For Benjamin Siegel, the dissolution of his marriage marked yet another chapter in a life that alternated between the dazzling highs and the perilous lows. His path would continue to unfold, leading him further down the road of notoriety and infamy. Meanwhile, his family would embark on a different journey, one that sought the measure of normalcy and distance from the turbulent world of organised crime. As the late 1920s dawned, Meyer Lansky and Benjamin Siegel's rise in the criminal world brought them into close contact with figures who would come to define the future of organised crime. These included Charles Lucky Luciano and Frank Costello, who would eventually become the boss of the formidable Genovese crime family. The stage was set for a new chapter in their criminal careers, one that would leave an undeniable mark on the history of American organised crime. The year 1931 marked a turning point in this saga of crime and power. On April 15th, 1931, New York's mob boss, Joe Mazzaria, met his demise in a hail of bullets. The orchestrators of this ruthless act were rumoured to be none other than Bugsy Siegel, Albert Anastasia, Vito Genovese, and Joe Adonis, acting on the orders of Mr. Luciano. The shocking event brought an end to the Castellammarese War and a brutal power struggle that had gripped the underworld leaving a trail of bloodshed in its wake. But the year was far from over in terms of seismic shifts in the criminal landscape. On September the 10th, 1931, Mr. Luciano took another decisive step, hiring 4 gunmen from the Bugs and Mayor mob, although some sources point to Bugsy Siegel as one of the gunmen, to eliminate Salvatore Maranzano in his New York office. This audacious act not only solidified Mr. Luciano's ascendancy within the ranks of the mafia, but also marked the dawn of the modern American organized crime as we know it. The era of Murder Incorporated had begun, an era defined by calculated violence, ruthless efficiency, and a shadowy network of contract killers who would shape the criminal landscape for years to come. For Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, this was just one chapter in a life that veered between bloodshed and glamour, a life that would eventually lead him into the neon-lit streets of Las Vegas, and a legacy that continues to captivate the imagination of those who delve into the annals of American organized crime. In the wake of Salvatore Maranzano's demise, Charles Lucky Luciano and Meyer Lansky seized the opportunity to reshape the criminal landscape. They coalesced various crime families into what would become the National Crime Syndicate, wielding formidable power behind the scenes to maintain order and prevent the violent gang wars that had plagued the underworld. They established the Commission, a body tasked with dividing mafia territories and resolving disputes. During this pivotal period, Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, together with his associates, played a central role in the creation of Murder Inc. This clandestine organization was a shadowy network of contract killers, ensuring that Mr. Luciano and Mr. Lansky's vision was enforced with ruthless efficiency. Although Mr. Siegel and Mr. Lansky would eventually shift their focus, control over Murder Inc. passed into the hands of Albert Anastasia and Louis Lepecki Bolcher. Nonetheless, Bugsy Siegel continued to ply his deadly trade as a hitman, leaving a trail of violence in his wake. Remarkably, Bugsy Siegel's only conviction during this tumultuous period only occurred in Miami. On February the 28th, 1932, he found himself in legal trouble, arrested for gambling and vagrancy. Swiftly, he produced a roll of bills, paying a $100 fine, and was back on the streets. Yet Bugsy's life was far from free of conflict. He found himself embroiled in a bitter dispute with the Fabrizio brothers, associates of the notorious Waxy Gordon. Mr. Gordon had hired the Fabrizio brothers after Mr. Lansky and Mr. Siegel provided crucial information to the IRS, leading to Mr. Gordon's imprisonment for tax evasion in 1933. This vendetta spiraled out of control when the Fabrizios attempted to assassinate Bugsy Siegel and Meyer Lansky. In a gruesome turn of events, Mr. Siegel hunted down and murdered the Fabrizio brothers, quashing their assassination plot. Tony Fabrizio had begun writing a memoir that detailed the nationwide kill for hire squad led by Bugsy Siegel. Alarmed by these revelations, the mob acted swiftly, discovering Fabrizio's intentions before he could execute them. In 1932, Bugsy Siegel devised a cunning plan. After checking into a hospital to establish an alibi, he, along with 2 accomplices, approached Tony Fabrizio's house, posing as detectives to lure him outside. They ambushed and gunned him down in cold blood. But Mr. Siegel's violent tendencies extended beyond personal vendettas. In 1935, he played a pivotal role in Charles Luciano's alliance with Dutch Sulch, leading to the murders of rival loan sharks Louis Petty Amberg and Joseph C. Amberg. Bugsy Siegel's life was a labyrinth of treacherous alliances, deadly conflicts, and underworld machinations. His journey would soon lead him to a sun-drenched city of Las Vegas, where his ambition would leave an undeniable mark on the histories of organized crime and the dazzling world of entertainment. As the shadows of danger closed in on him, Bugsy Siegel received a chilling message from his associates. His hospital alibi was unraveling, and his enemies were closing in on the murderous intent. Faced with the looming threats to his life, Mr. Siegel made a strategic move that would forever change his criminal trajectory. He relocated to the sun-soaked shores of California in the late 1930s. Mr. Siegel had been no stranger to the West Coast, having made several trips there since 1933. However, his mission in California was now to develop Syndicate sanctioning gambling rackets in collaboration with Los Angeles family boss Jack Dragner. The East Coast mob recognized the potential in the California dream, and they entrusted Bugsy Siegel with the task of expanding their criminal enterprises. Upon his arrival in Los Angeles, Mr. Siegel swiftly recruited the formidable gang boss Mickey Cohen as his chief lieutenant. Mr. Siegel's reputation for brutality, coupled with the backing of powerful figures like Meyer Lansky and Charles Luciano, who sent word from prison that it was in Mr. Dragner's best interest to cooperate, left little room for Mr. Dragner to resist. Mr. Dragner accepted a subordinate role in this new criminal hierarchy, a move driven by a keen awareness of Mr. Siegel's capacity for violence. Mr. Siegel, ever the master of deception, claimed on his tax returns that his income came from legitimate gambling activities in Santa Anita Park, an apparent veneer of respectability that masked his illicit enterprises. In reality, Mr. Siegel seized control of Los Angeles numbers racket, orchestrated a drug trade route from Mexico, and established circuits with the Chicago's Outfits wire service. By 1942, the Syndicate's bookmaking wire operations were raking in an astounding $500,000 per day, a testament to Mr. Siegel's organizational acumen and audacious ambition. However, tensions soon arose. In 1946, due to complications with Mr. Siegel, the Chicago outfit took over the Continental Press, assigning a percentage of the racing wire to Mr. Dragner. This move infuriated Mr. Siegel, who had been a key player in those operations. Nevertheless, despite these complications, Bugsy Siegel remained firmly in control of several offshore casinos and a sprawling prostitution ring. His web of influence extended far beyond the criminal underworld, encompassing relationships with politicians, businessmen, attorneys, accountants, and lobbyists who acted as fronts for his illicit endeavours. In the Golden State of California, Bugsy Siegel was not only building an empire, but also forging connections that would serve as both his strength and vulnerability. His journey through the sun-drenched streets of LA would soon intersect with the neon-lit boulevards of Las Vegas, culminating in the audacious venture that would become his enduring legacy. In the dazzling realm of Hollywood, Bugsy Siegel was not just a criminal mastermind, but a charismatic figure who effortlessly infiltrated the highest echelons of society, forging bonds with some of the biggest names in the movie industry. Among his illustrious circle of friends were Hollywood legends like George Raft, Clark Gable, Gary Cooper, and Cary Grant. Studio executives Louis B. Mayer and Jack L. Warner were counted as his associates. Actress Jean Harlow, in particular, held a special place in Mr. Siegel's life, serving as a friend and even becoming the godmother of his daughter, Millicent. Mr. Siegel's lavish Beverly Hills home played host to extravagant parties that were the talk of the town, drawing the creme de la creme of the entertainment industry. Young celebrities at the time, including Tony Curtis, Phil Silvers, and Frank Sinatra, admired and looked up to Bugsy Siegel, drawn by his enigmatic allure and audacious lifestyle. Mr. Siegel's romantic entanglements were equally captivating. He had relationships with prominent women, including the socialite Countess Dorothy DeFrasso. His alliance with the Countess took him on a journey to Italy in 1938, where he encountered Benito Mussolini. In a daring move, Mr. Siegel attempted to sell weapons to the Italian dictator. During this time, he also crossed paths with Nazi leaders from Hermann Göring and Joseph Goebbels. An aversion to these high-ranking Nazis led Mr. Siegel to making an astonishing offer. He volunteered to assassinate them. Only the Countess's fervent pleas prevented him from following through on this dangerous proposition. However, in Hollywood, Bugsy Siegel wasn't merely a socialite. He was a shrewd operator. He worked in tandem with the Syndicate to establish illegal rackets within the movie industry. One of his cunning schemes involved extorting movie studios. Mr. Siegel took control of local trade unions, including the Screen's Extra Guild and the Los Angeles Teamsters. He would then stage strikes, effectively halting studio productions until they paid him off to ensure that the unions resumed work. It was a lucrative venture, one that exploited the very heart of Hollywood's economic engine. Mr. Siegel's audacity extended to his financial dealings. He borrowed significant sums of money from celebrities and never bothered to repay them, confident that they would never dare demand the funds. In his first year in Hollywood alone, he managed to secure over $400,000 in loans from movie stars. Bugsy Siegel's life in Hollywood was a heady mix of glamour, crime, and audacious manipulation. He had not only infiltrated the upper echelons of the entertainment world, but had also harnessed its power and resources for his own criminal enterprises. It was a time when the line between the silver screen and the shadows of organised crime blurred, and Bugsy Siegel stood firmly at the intersection of these two worlds. On November the 22nd, 1939, a dark chapter unfolded in Bugsy Siegel's criminal saga. Alongside Whitney Krakoa, Frankie Carbo, and Albert Tannenbaum, he orchestrated the murder of Harry Big Greenie Greenberg just outside his apartment. Mr. Greenberg's life had taken a perilous turn. He had been threatening to become a police informant, a development that posed a grave risk to the criminal enterprise. The order for Mr. Greenberg's execution came from none other Louis Lepeke Bolcher, a powerful figure in the underworld. Amid this gruesome plot, Albert Tannenbaum would play a pivotal role. He eventually confessed to the murder and made a harrowing decision to testify against Bugsy Siegel in court. In September 1941, Mr. Siegel found himself on trial for murder, a legal showdown that would captivate the nation. The trial quickly gained notoriety, largely due to the preferential treatment Mr. Siegel received whilst incarcerated. Behind bars, he refused to consume prison food, was granted visits from female companions, and even secured temporary releases for dental appointments. His defense team was headed by the prominent attorney Jerry Giesler, who took on the daunting task of defending the infamous mobster. However, the trial took an unexpected turn when two state witnesses met untimely deaths, casting a shadow of suspicion and fear over the proceedings. With their absence, Mr. Tannenbaum's testimony lost much of its weight, and the case against Mr. Siegel began to unravel. In 1942, Bugsy Siegel was acquitted of murder charges due to insufficient evidence. However, this legal victory came at a cost. His reputation was tarnished, forever marked by the association with the Greenberg murder. Throughout the trial, newspapers extensively covered Mr. Siegel's past and began referring to him as Bugsy, a nickname he despised. The moniker, supposedly derived from the slang term bugs, meaning crazy, was used to describe his erratic behaviour. In contrast, Mr. Siegel preferred to be addressed by his given name, Ben, or as Mr. Siegel. The legal battles continued to haunt Mr. Siegel. On May the 25th, 1944, he was arrested for bookmaking. In a surprising turn of events, witnesses such as George Raft and Matt Gray testified in his defence, resulting in yet another acquittal for Bugsy Siegel in late 1944. These legal triumphs and tribulations would be but a prelude in the audacious venture that awaited him in the desert of Las Vegas, a place where Mr. Siegel would leave an undeniable mark on the pages of American criminal history. In 1945, Bugsy Siegel glimpsed a chance to shred his criminal notoriety and venture into legitimate business territory. The opportunity presented itself in the form of the Flamingo Hotel, a project helmed by William R. Wilkerson. It was here in the arid expanse of Las Vegas that Mr. Siegel would embark on a transformation that would forever alter the course of his life and leave an undeniable mark in American criminal history. Mr. Siegel's interest in the potential of southern Nevada had taken root in the 1930s when he and Moe Sedway had ventured there to explore new opportunities. Their initial foray centered around providing illicit services to crews constructing the Boulder Dam. However, Mr. Siegel soon passed the reins of these operations to Mr. Sedway and departed for the allure of Hollywood. As the mid-1940s rolled around, Mr. Siegel was busy setting the stage in Las Vegas while his trusted lieutenants crafted a business strategy aimed at monopolizing all gambling activities in LA. In May 1946, he made a pivotal decision to alter the agreement with Mr. Wilkinson in a way that would grant him control of the Flamingo Hotel. With the Flamingo firmly under his sway, Mr. Siegel envisioned transforming it into a hub of entertainment and opulence. His plan was straightforward but ambitious: provide top-tier gambling, the finest liquor and cuisine, and showcase the most prominent entertainers, all at reasonable prices. He believed that this irresistible combination would not only attract high rollers, but also entice thousands of vacationers willing to wager $50 or $100, cementing the Flamingo's status as a premier destination. Mr. Wilkerson, however, found himself facing a menacing ultimatum. Under the threat of death, he was coerced into relinquishing all his stakes in the Flamingo. In the aftermath of his high-stakes power play, Mr. Wilkerson sought refuge in the safety of Paris. From that point forward, the Flamingo Hotel became a syndicate-run establishment, a testament to Bugsy Siegel's determination and audacity. His vision for the desert oasis of Las Vegas was taking shape, setting the stage for a venture that would forever change the landscape of American entertainment and gambling forever. With the Flamingo Hotel project in full swing, Bugsy Siegel embarked on an extravagant spending spree that would come to define the very essence of Las Vegas. He was determined to construct the grandest and most opulent building imaginable, a bold vision that defined the post-war shortages at the time. As the construction progressed, Mr. Siegel's demands pushed the project's costs to astronomical levels. His insatiable appetite for luxury led to his checks bouncing, raising eyebrows and concerns. By October 1946, the Flamingo's expenses had already eclipsed the $4 million mark. A year later, in 1947, the cost had ballooned to over $6 million, equivalent to a staggering $61 million in today's currency. Despite the financial turbulence, the finish line was in sight by late November of that year. Bugsy Siegel's larger-than-life persona and extravagant ambitions left an undeniable mark on the landscape of Las Vegas. His maniacal chest puffing would set the precedent for generations of casino moguls to come, shaping the city's identity as an oasis of glitz, glamour, and audacious opulence. However, it wasn't just Mr. Siegel's ostentatious spending that made the headlines. His violent reputation cast a long shadow over his endeavours. On one occasion, he casually boasted that he had personally killed several men, a statement that sent a chill down the spine of the head contractor, Del Webb. In that moment of reassurance, Mr. Siegel remarked, "Del, don't worry, we only kill each other." It was a stark reminder that the violent underbelly of organised crime that Mr. Siegel had left behind on the East Coast. Yet for all his ruthless reputation, Mr. Siegel also displayed a different facet of his character. He was known to be an intense individual with a charitable side, including generous donations to the Damon Runyon Cancer Fund. Lou Weiner Jr., Mr. Siegel's attorney in Las Vegas, described him as very well liked and attested to his benevolence, stating that he was good to people. As the Flamingo Hotel neared its completion, It marked not only the birth of an iconic Las Vegas establishment, but also the beginning of Bugsy Siegel's enduring legacy in the heart of the desert. His ambition and audacity had set the stage for a new era in American entertainment and gambling, one that would forever transform the city and its allure. As the Flamingo Hotel approached its grand opening, Bugsy Siegel found himself at odds with the Chicago outfit over the reporting of their wire service. While issues had been resolved in Nevada and Arizona, Mr. Siegel remained defiant in California, refusing to provide the necessary business reports. In a daring move, he declared that he was now running the California Syndicate on his own terms, and that he would repay the loans to the mob bosses at his own good time. Despite this defiance, the mob bosses exercised patience with Mr. Siegel, recognizing the value he had consistently brought to their operations. On December 26, 1946, the Flamingo Hotel finally opened its doors to the public, although not all its facilities were complete. At the time of its debut, only the casino, lounge, theatre and restaurant were operational. The opening, intended to be a star-studded affair, was somewhat underwhelming. Few celebrities graced the event, with some making the journey from LA despite adverse weather conditions. Among these presents were George Raft, June Haver, Vivian Blaine, Sonny Tufts, Brian Donlevy and Charles Colburn. They were greeted by the sounds of ongoing construction and a lobby adorned with a protective drop cloths. The desert's first air conditioning system proved to be unreliable. While the gambling tables were in operation, the luxurious rooms that were meant to entice guests to stay and gamble were not yet ready. As news of mounting losses reached Mr. Siegel throughout the evening, his frustration boiled over, leading to irate outbursts and even the ejection of at least one family from the premises. After just 2 weeks, the Flamingo's gambling tables were in the red by a staggering $275,000, prompting the complete shutdown of the operation in late January 1947. Granted a second chance, Bugsy Siegel embarked on a determined effort to salvage the Flamingo's prospects. He initiated renovations and worked tirelessly to secure favourable press. Mr. Siegel also enlisted the services of future newsman Hank Greenspun as a publicist. The hotel reopened its doors on March 1st, 1947, with Mayor Lansky in attendance, and this time it began to turn a profit. However, patience was wearing thin amongst the mob bosses who had supported Mr. Siegel's ambitious project. As the Flamingo finally started to show promise, they grew increasingly impatient. Despite the challenges and setbacks, Bugsy Siegel had made an undeniable mark on the world of organised crime and Las Vegas history by the time he had reached the age of 41. His legacy, filled with audacity, ambition and relentless determination, would be forever intertwined with the emergence of the desert city as the gambling mecca. The night of June the 20th, 1947 would forever be etched in history as the evening when Bugsy Siegel's life came to a violent and abrupt end. Seated in the Beverly Hills home of his associate Alan Smiley, and in the company of Virginia Hill, Mr. Siegel was leisurely reading the LA Times when an unknown assailant fired upon him through a window. The weapon of choice was a .30 caliber military M1 carbine, and the attacker's aim was deadly accurate. Multiple bullets struck Mr. Siegel, with 2 piercing his head. Despite the immediate response from law enforcement investigators, no one was ever officially charged with the murder of Bugsy Siegel. The crime remains a haunting, unsolved enigma. Various theories have emerged over the years in an attempt to decipher the motives behind Mr. Siegel's assassination. One theory suggests that his extravagant spending and alleged misappropriation of mob funds may have sealed his fate. In 1946, during a meeting of the Syndicate's board of directors in Havana, Cuba, a contract was reportedly placed on Mr. Siegel's life. Mayor Lansky, though reluctantly, was said to have concurred with this decision. Another theory points to the preemptive strike by Matthew Moose Panzer, the lover of Mo Sedway's wife, B. It was believed that Mr. Panzer took action upon learning that Mr. Siegel was planning to eliminate Mr. Sedway, who had been entrusted by the mob to manage Mr. Siegel's finances, a role that had increasingly become a source of contention. Ralph Natale, former boss of the Philadelphia crime family, had asserted that Frank Carbo was the man responsible for Bugsy Siegel's murder, acting at the behest of Mayor Lansky. Mr. Siegel's death certificate cited homicide as the manner of death, with the cause attributed to the gunshot wounds to the head. He sustained multiple bullet wounds, including shots that transversed his lungs. Notably, during the attack, 4 of the 9 bullets fired obliterated a white marble statue of Bacchus on a grand piano before embedding themselves in the far wall. The aftermath of Mr. Siegel's murder reverberated far beyond Beverly Hills. The Los Angeles Herald-Express ran a front-page photograph of his lifeless right foot, complete with a toe tag, despite the crime occurring in Beverly Hills. Las Vegas was thrust into a national spotlight as newspapers across the country published photographs of Mr. Siegel's lifeless body. The day following Mr. Siegel's murder, David Berman, along with his Las Vegas mob associates Mo Sedway and Gus Greenbaum, strode into the Flamingo Hotel. In a swift and calculated move, they assumed control of the hotel and casino, marking a turning point in the history of Las Vegas. The legend of Bugsy Siegel, a complex and controversial figure, had come to an end, but his legacy continued to cast a long shadow over the desert city and the world of organized crime. Bugsy Siegel, a figure both celebrated and feared, is remembered and honoured in various ways, paying tribute to his enduring impact on American history and the world of organised crime. In the Bilal Stoker Synagogue, located on New York's Lower East Side, a Yazid remembrance plaque is dedicated to Bugsy Siegel. This plaque serves as a marker of his death date, allowing mourners to recite the Kaddish prayer on the anniversary of his passing. It is worth noting that Mr. Siegel's plaque is positioned just below that of his father, Max Siegel, who passed away a mere 2 months before his son. On the grounds of the Flamingo Las Vegas, amidst the luxurious amenities and wedding chapel, a memorial plaque stands to the testament of Bugsy Siegel's enduring legacy. This plaque serves as a reminder of the man whose audacious vision helped shape Las Vegas into the gambling mecca it is today. For his final resting place, Bugsy Siegel finds his eternal abode in the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, located in the heart of Hollywood, California. Here his memory lives on, offering a glimpse into the complex and controversial figure who made an undeniable mark on the annals of organised crime and the history of Las Vegas. Bugsy Siegel's life and legacy have been the subject of various portrayals in literature, film, television, and even video games. Here are some notable depictions of him in popular media: The Godfather, the 1969 novel and 1972 film. Morris Mo Green, a character in Mario Puzo's novel and its film adaptation, is based on Bugsy Siegel. The character's personality and traits drew inspiration from Mr. Siegel's life. The Gangster Chronicles 1981 TV miniseries. Joe Penny portrays Benjamin Bugsy Siegel in this episodic series that chronicled the early development of organised crime, particularly the rise of Lucky Luciano, Mayor Lansky, fictionalized as Lanska, and Ben Siegel. Mobsters, the 1991 film. This motion picture drama focuses on the rise of the Commission and features Christian Slater as Lucky Luciano, Patrick Dempsey as Mayor Lansky, and Richard Grieco as Bugsy Siegel. The Avengers, the 1960s TV series. A character named Bugsy Siegel, portrayed by Edwin Richfield, appears in an episode of this British spy TV series. Bugsy, the 1991 film, starring Warren Beatty as the mobster Benjamin Bugsy Siegel. This highly fictionalized movie biography explores Mr. Siegel's life and exploits. The Marrying Man, a 1991 film. Armand Ansati plays the role of Bugsy Siegel in this romantic comedy drama. The Last Call, the 1992 novel. In Tim Power's novel, Bugsy Siegel is reimagined as a modern-day Fisher King. Biography, a 1995 TV program. A biography of Bugsy Siegel was released on DVD in 2005 as part of a television series biography. It offers insights into his life and activities. Boardwalk Empire, a HBO series. Bugsy Siegel is portrayed by Michael Zegan in this acclaimed television series that explores the Prohibition-era and organised crime. Mob City, a TV series. Edward Burns portrays Bugsy Siegel in Frank Darabont's television series Mob City, which delves into the world of organised crime. Making the Mob, New York, AMC series. Bugsy Siegel is portrayed by Jonathan Stewart in this docudrama series that focuses on the history of the mob, with the first season exploring the life of Charles Lucky Luciano. Kill Me Deadly, a 2015 film. Joe Mantegna portrays Bugsy Siegel in this film, offering a portrayal of the mobster's character. Music mention. Bugsy Siegel is mentioned in the song titled Two of America's Most Wanted by Tupac Shakur and Snoop Dogg in the album All Eyes on Me. DC Legends Tomorrow, a TV series. Jonathan Sadowski portrays a heavily fictionalized Bugsy Siegel in an episode where he is resurrected after his assassination, only to meet his end in hell by the character John Contestine. Fallout New Vegas, a video game. This RPG video game features an antagonist named Benny, who is based on Bugsy Siegel. These portrayals in various forms of media offer different perspectives of life, personality, and influence of Bugsy Siegel, leaving a lasting impression on popular culture. And so, the curtain fell on Benjamin Bugsy Siegel in 1947, when bullets pierced the night at Virginia Hill's Beverly Hills home, ending the life of the notorious mobster. His murder remains shrouded in mystery, with suspects ranging from his associates to rival mob fractions. Yet Bugsy Siegel's legacy lives on, intertwined with the history of Las Vegas. His audacious vision transformed the remote desert town into a dazzling neon oasis, a gambling mecca that drew high rollers and hopeful visitors alike. Though flawed and controversial, Mr. Siegel pioneered the evolution of Las Vegas into an entertainment epicenter. From his humble beginnings on the streets of Brooklyn to his meteoric rise in organised crime, Benjamin Siegel's life was a complex tapestry of ambition, violence, charisma, and excess. He cultivated invaluable connections, but also made perilous enemies. Tales of his temper and tyranny mixed with accounts of his charm and generosity. Mr. Siegel's name conjures up images of sharp suits, flashy grins, and backroom deals, both glamorous and the gritty scenes of the mobster lore. His ruthless reputation vied with his visionary instincts. In the end, his daring dreams for Las Vegas would be his most lasting legacy, but his place in history ensured by the desert oasis that still bears the undeniable touch of Bugsy Siegel.